Welcome to Karma Chronicles. Please like the video and subscribe. Let's begin. The second I saw that damn ranch fence, my stomach knotted up like a balled fist. Same chipped white posts, same weather-beaten Wadsworth Ranch sign swinging in the wind like time hadn't moved an inch. But it had. 12 years, to be exact. 12 years since they threw me out with a duffel bag and a bruised cheek, said I was a disgrace to the family name. No phone, no ID, no money. Just a lecture about loyalty and bloodlines. And now I was back. My name's Casey Wadsworth. I'm 32. I live in Spokane now, or I did, until this. Quick note, before we start, how's your day going and where are you joining from? 3 weeks ago, I got a letter, a real envelope, cream paper, that stiff ranch crest embossed on top. All it said was, Casey, you are invited to return home. Marshall Wadsworth. Not love, Dad. Not even please. I don't know what the hell made me go. Maybe I wanted to see if they'd rot with the rest of Nevada. Maybe I just wanted to spit in the dust and remind them I wasn't dead. The house looked exactly the same. Big wraparound porch, green shutters, even the same busted rocking chair I remembered from when I was 10. But the air felt colder. Still, like everyone inside was holding their breath. When I stepped through the front door, every pair of eyes turned at once. My father stood at the head of the entryway, straight-backed like he was still sheriff of the house. My stepmother, Diane, wore that tight smile she used to save for rodeo judges. And Tyson, my half-brother, looked me up and down like I was roadkill dragged in from the highway. Casey, my dad said. One word. No hug, no apology. Just that same dead stare. Dinner was worse. The table was laid like it was Easter Sunday. Crystal glasses, perfect napkins, roast beef steaming like we were one big happy family. Nobody asked what I'd been doing. Nobody said a word about the past. I didn't eat much. Something about the roast tasted off, bitter, like metal on the back of my tongue. But I swallowed it anyway, trying to keep my face still. Diane poured me a glass of red wine. To new beginnings, she said, lifting hers. I nodded, took a sip. Then the room tilted. My legs went soft under the chair. I heard Tyson laugh like it was coming from underwater. I opened my mouth to speak, but everything turned black before I got a word out. I never even made it to dessert. I came on a thin cot with springs digging into my back and the stench of mold in my nose. My throat burned. My mouth felt like it was stuffed with cotton. The light above me flickered, humming like it was running on its last breath. I sat up fast, heart pounding, head spinning. My boots were gone. My jacket was gone. My bag, phone, wallet, gone. I wasn't in my old bedroom. I wasn't even in the damn house. This place was barely holding together. A rusted-out trailer with peeling linoleum floors, brown water dripping in the corner, and one cracked window half covered with aluminum foil. There was no sign of anyone, just one thing waiting for me on a plastic folding chair across the room. A charm bracelet. My charm bracelet. The same one I lost when I was 8, the night Mom's horse broke its leg during the barrel run, and they put it down behind the barn. I stared at it like it might bite me. It didn't make sense. None of it did. But one thing clicked real fast. I hadn't been invited back home. I'd been baited. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I kicked the door open so hard it flew off one hinge and bolted barefoot through the scrub until I hit a road. Took me 3 hours to hitch a ride into Reno. My feet were cut up and bleeding, my jeans stiff with dust and dried sweat. I begged a gas station clerk to let me use the landline. I only remembered one number. It belonged to a woman I hadn't seen in almost 6 years, Judy Creel, a lawyer I met doing bookkeeping for a local horse rescue. She was tough, mean when she had to be, and allergic to bullshit. She picked me up herself, driving an old Dodge Charger like she was late to a funeral. Didn't even say hello until we were halfway back to her office. You smell like lies and cheap whiskey, she said. What the hell happened to you? I told her everything. How I woke up, what was missing, and the bracelet. I left nothing out. She didn't interrupt once. When I finished, she went dead quiet for a beat, then snapped her fingers toward her desk. Pull up a chair. We're checking the trust. Judy had access to every real estate record in Washoe County. It took her 10 minutes to find the Wadsworth Ranch estate file, and another 5 to realize something was seriously off. You were in the trust, she muttered, scrolling. 16 years ago. Then your name vanishes, like you never existed. Is that even legal? I asked. Not without emancipation paperwork or a court order. Which there isn't. Jesus, Casey, they scrubbed you like a damn crime scene. She leaned closer to the screen, frowning. Look at this timing. Your name was wiped exactly 3 months after you turned 16. Right before the land deal with that Canadian mining firm was finalized. What land deal? 10,000 acres locked in for a royalty payout over 20 years. Mineral rights, water access, the works. Your share would have been, hold on. She tapped a few keys. Over 2 million. I couldn't speak. My ears rang. Did anyone ever tell you about this? She asked. Number not once. Judy leaned back in her chair, staring at me hard. They didn't just cut you out, Casey. They buried you. Whole thing stinks of fraud. She paused like she already knew the next question would hurt. Do you remember anything strange before they kicked you out? Anything that didn't sit right? I nodded slowly. A fight. My stepmother, Diane, yelling about removing the problem. My dad told her to lower her voice. That was the last night I ever slept in that house. That's not just family drama, Judy said. That's motive. She pushed a legal pad across the desk. We need evidence, witnesses, documents, anything proving you were supposed to inherit before they rewrote history. What about Sam? I asked. Old ranch hand. He saw everything. He's been there forever. Judy smiled for the first time all day. Then we find Sam. She stood and grabbed her keys again. We're not asking this time, she said. We're digging. And just like that, we were back in the car, headed into the wreckage. We got back to Judy's office before dark, and she didn't even take off her coat. She went straight for the cabinet in the corner and started pulling out old property records, like she already knew where the skeletons were buried. Okay, she muttered, flipping through manila folders. Here's the original Wadsworth Ranch Trust from 1994. You were listed as a primary heir at age 2. 50 acres and a 5% interest in future earnings. Now watch this. She slammed another file down next to it. This one's from 2009. Same trust, new amendments. Your name's gone. Just like that? Not even a footnote, she said. No transfer, no disinheritance clause. It's like you were never born. The paper shook a little in my hand. I ran my finger along the margin where my name should have been. They didn't just take me out. They wiped the slate. Judy nodded. And here's where it gets real greasy. The trust amendment was notarized exactly 1 month after the $10 million offer came in from Claymont Minerals, Canadian outfit, front company for a Chinese mining conglomerate. If they had you in the line, the deal would have needed your signature. But since you didn't exist anymore, they got full control. She tapped the contract. And your father and Diane split the proceeds, tax-exempt, under a land preservation shell corporation. This was premeditated, cold as hell. I leaned forward, heart racing. You think Diane planned this? I think she pushed it. No way Marshall would have moved this fast on his own. He's a bastard, but not that slick. And that's when it hit me, like a flash behind my eyes. That night, the yelling, the way my father's voice dropped into that low warning tone. She said I was the problem, I whispered. That's what she called me. I was 16. I'd just won the junior barrel race, and Diane was screaming in the mudroom about how we need her gone or this whole thing falls apart. My dad told her to calm down. Judy sat back in her chair. Jesus. She wanted me gone, not just from the house, from the books, from the goddamn planet. She didn't respond right away, just stared at the files like they were pieces of a body no one bothered to hide. After a moment, she said, This isn't just fraud. It's identity erasure. Financial, legal, maybe criminal. You were disinherited without consent. That makes it voidable. But we're going to need more than just old documents. I nodded slowly. You said we need a witness. Yup. And someone they can't discredit. That means Sam. I hadn't seen Sam in over a decade. He was old when I left. Real old, but sharp. The kind of guy who remembered birthdays and fed stray dogs when no one else bothered. He saw everything, I said. He was the one who gave me my duffel bag the night they tossed me out. Said, Don't let them break you, kid. Perfect. We get him to testify that you were part of the trust and removed after they iced you out. We can open a fraud claim. And what if he's dead? Judy didn't blink. Then we find someone else who knew what they did. But we start with Sam. She got up and opened her laptop. Let me check his location. If he's still in Nevada, we can send a process server. If not, we're road tripping. I stood up too. I'm not sitting this out. I want to be there. She gave me a look like she wasn't used to clients volunteering for the mess. You sure? They buried me once. I'm not giving them another shovel. She cracked a smile. Good, because this is about to get ugly. The screen lit up with a current address in Lovelock, Nevada. Judy shut her laptop. Grab some sleep, Casey. We hit the road at 6. So I did. I curled up on her old office couch and stared at the ceiling fan spinning slow and steady. I didn't know what tomorrow held, but I finally had proof that I hadn't imagined it. They erased me, and I was coming back in pen. We got to Lovelock just after noon. Judy dropped me at Sam's place while she filed an affidavit at the courthouse. He wasn't home. Door locked, mailbox full. His neighbor said he'd been in the hospital for weeks after a fall. That hit me harder than I let on. Instead of waiting around, I told Judy we needed to double back because something was still crawling in the back of my skull. That night at the ranch, the way I blacked out, the trailer, the planted bracelet, and the accident. I remembered flashes, that guardrail, headlights spinning, smoke, then nothing. I'd never even seen the crash report. So I told Judy to drive out toward mile marker 12, where they said it happened. We passed the exit off I-80, turned down a gravel side road, and within 5 minutes, I knew something was wrong. The shoulder was barely scraped up. The metal rail looked bent, sure, but not like it had taken a car head-on. There were tire marks, but they didn't match what I remembered. These are truck tires, I said, crouching. Wide treads. Rear wheel, not front. Judy squinted. That doesn't match the report. I was supposedly driving Dad's old Ford Fusion, front-wheel sedan. These marks are fresh. These aren't mine. We took pictures, measurements, timestamped the whole scene. Judy pulled the crash file from the sheriff's department using her legal access. She printed it out on the hood of the car. Casey, look at this, she said, tapping the airbag section. They say the bag's deployed, but the manufacturer log says the airbag module wasn't triggered. I stared at it. You're saying the car didn't crash hard enough? I'm saying the airbag system was tampered with, or the crash never happened the way they said. I pulled out my phone and called the one person who would actually give me the truth, Cal Burnett. He used to work for crash analysis on highway patrol, but he went private after a DUI case got thrown out because of faulty impact sensors. I helped him get a referral years ago when I temped at the auto insurance office in Carson. He owed me. Casey Wadsworth, he said when he picked up. I figured I'd never hear your name again. You ever want to clear that favor? Now's the time. He showed up an hour later in a gray Tacoma with a rolling forensic kit in the bed. Took him 20 minutes of walking the crash site before he waved us over. Your car didn't hit here, he said flat out. Not like they said. This impact zone's staged. See this? He pointed at the scrape marks. These are post-crash drag lines. Someone rolled the wreck here. What about the airbags? I asked. Disconnected. Wires were clipped under the steering column. I looked at Judy. So it was intentional. Keep going, she said to Cal. I also got the scene photos from the report. The coroner's notes said the victim had severe burns and no dental ID. They used your wallet and the VIN number to identify the body. But that wasn't me. He shook his head. I ran a partial DNA swab they preserved in the archive. Took some strings to get it. Doesn't match your profile. Judy folded her arms. You're telling me they faked her death using a different body and planted her ID? I'm telling you they botched it, Cal said. Didn't expect her to walk away. I swallowed hard, heart hammering. There's gotta be footage, traffic cams. Cal already had a tablet in hand. Checked the old DOT server. Most feeds delete after 90 days, but a private security cam caught something. He pulled up grainy footage from a feed near a storage facility off the same road. Freeze it right there, I said. A figure climbing out the driver's side of the wreck, limping, holding their side. Tyson, my half-brother, clear as day. Judy stared at the screen like it was a confession. You were never behind the wheel. Tyson was. I could barely breathe. He tried to kill me, or whoever was in that car. Or make it look like you were dead, Judy said. They needed you out of the way to finish the trust transfer. If you're dead, there's no contesting anything. Cal looked at me. You want to push this, Casey? I'll testify. You sure? I owe you. Besides, this is bigger than just you. This is murder or damn close to it. Judy pocketed the tablet. We just got our first real crack in the story? I stood there in the dirt, watching the wind twist up little eddies of dust. My face felt hot. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. They wanted me gone. They just didn't think I'd crawl back out of the grave. The next morning, I stood outside a brick building on the edge of Carson City, wrapped in chain link fencing and faded private property signs. The Land Archive Center wasn't open to the public, and definitely not to someone like me. But I wasn't walking away without answers. Judy pulled around the back in her Charger and popped the trunk. "You sure this is worth the risk?" "I'm already a ghost," I said. "What are they gonna do? Kill me again?" She passed me a hoodie and a pair of gloves. "Make it fast. I'll circle every 15 minutes. If I honk twice, haul ass." I slipped in through a loose panel behind the HVAC unit. Inside smelled like dust, paper, and old secrets. I made my way through dark aisles of storage lockers and sliding file drawers, everything dead silent except the faint hum of fluorescent lights. I had one name, Leah Tompkins, junior clerk. Her mom used to clean our house back when I was still wearing show boots and ribbons. I found her sitting in a corner cubicle, earbuds in, tapping at a spreadsheet. I walked up fast and said, "Leah, it's Casey Wadsworth. I need 5 minutes and you're quiet." She jumped like I'd slapped her. "Jesus, you're supposed to be—" "I know, I'm not. Can you help me or not?" She looked me up and down, then nodded and led me to the back, into a side room labeled "Restricted." "I never believed what they said," she whispered, "about you being drunk. Or dead. My mom always said Diane was a snake in pearls." That gave me the first real breath I'd had all day. She unlocked a drawer and pulled out a thin binder. "I saved this," she said. "Didn't sit right when they came to delete it." Inside was the original trust ledger, the one before they cut me out. My name was there, clear as day, next to a list of land shares and future revenue entitlements. Then she handed me a second file, a scanned PDF with my so-called signature at the bottom, dated 3 months after I turned 16. "Tell me that's not your handwriting," she said. I didn't even need to look twice. "My name's always looped at the top. This one's flat. My G's are open, not closed. This ain't mine." "I checked the metadata," she added. "The file was last modified a year after the signature date. And get this, the user account? It came from Wadsworth and Greeley, your family's legal firm." I had to grip the table to stay standing. "So they forged it, slipped it in the records, and then had someone here delete the originals?" "Not me," Leah said fast. "But yeah, that's what happened. They were scared it might blow back. I knew I couldn't stop them, but I made copies." "Why'd you keep them?" I asked. She hesitated. "Because I saw you ride that horse when you were 12. You flew? Nobody who flies like that deserves to be buried." I scanned the documents using the office copier, page by page, high res, no compression. Every margin, every timestamp, every seal. Then I opened Judy's burner laptop and pulled up the contact for the handwriting analyst she'd lined up, an ex-FBI guy who ran a private forensic doc shop out of Sacramento. Attached everything in one zip folder and hit send. When it was done, I turned to Leah. "You just became my star witness." She swallowed hard. "If they find out?" "They won't," I said. "Not until it's too late." I slipped out the back the way I came. Judy was already waiting with the engine running. "Get it?" I held up the flash drive. "With fingerprints." She grinned and peeled away from the curb. This time, I didn't look back. We pulled into Judy's office lot just as my phone buzzed with a Sacramento area code. I answered before the second ring. "Casey Wadsworth?" the man said, voice clipped and dry. "Speaking." "This is John Ellis, handwriting analyst. You were right. That signature isn't yours." I didn't breathe. "The G-loop's wrong, T-bar pressure is inconsistent, and the baseline wobbles like someone traced it. Whoever wrote it studied your style but didn't know how to mimic muscle memory." "Is it forgery?" I asked. 100%, and I'll put that in writing. Signed, sealed, notarized. He emailed the report that afternoon. Judy printed 2 copies and locked one in a fireproof safe. "We've got enough to reopen the trust now," she said, flipping through the packet. "But if we want full reversal, we need Tyson off the board." "Can't we use the fake crash and identity tampering?" "Not enough. The trust has a morality clause. Any criminal record voids succession rights. If Tyson's got dirt, we can bury him." I knew where to look. Back in 2019, I did admin work for a private contractor tied to my family's security company, Wadsworth Protection Group. Tyson ran special logistics, which usually meant playing cowboy with people's secrets. I kept backups of everything I touched, shoved into a beat up laptop I hadn't opened since the pandemic. Judy and I dug it out from the storage unit that same night. The fan whined like it hated me, but it still booted up. Took 2 hours of digging through old client logs before I found it. An encrypted folder labeled Opal, the kind of name people use when they don't want things to show up in search results. It opened to a scan of a Mexican police report, dated 6 years ago. Arrested in Tijuana, Tyson Wadsworth. Charges assault and cocaine possession. The photo showed his face half smashed, blood on his shirt, and a crooked smirk like he didn't give a damn. Bingo, I muttered. He was 23, full adult. This alone disqualifies him. Judy scrolled down. Charges dropped, records sealed, paid out and buried. Doesn't matter, I said. It happened. I got the file chain, the timestamp, and the location match. She leaned back, rubbing her forehead. This is it. This nails it. Now we just need one thing: motive. I clicked through the rest of the folder, scanning archived voicemails and flagged recordings. One file stood out. No title, just a number and a date. April 8th, 2013. I hit play. It was Diane's voice, clear as a damn bell. Once she's gone, we don't have to share a dime. Marshall will do what I tell him. He always does. He's too proud to admit she was ever his mistake in the first place. I froze. My mouth went dry. Judy just said, "Holy shit." There was a rustle, then my father's voice, quiet but audible. Then make it clean. I slammed the laptop shut and stood. That's motive, that's intent, and that's conspiracy. Judy was already dialing the state investigator's office. We need to move on this fast before they get wind and start shredding files. I'll send the audio and police report to your server. As soon as the files transferred, we printed every page and scanned them again for redundancies. Judy had been in law for 20 years, but I'd never seen her move like this, like we'd stepped past the point of no return. She turned to me while the printer hissed in the corner. You know what happens once this goes public? Yeah, I said. They burn, not just in court, everywhere. You ready for that? I'm past ready. I've been waiting 12 damn years. She picked up the final file, slid it into a red case binder, and looked me dead in the eye. We're going to bury them with their own paperwork. And I didn't even smile. I just nodded. It was time. I picked the place on purpose, Murphy's Grill off the 95, where the waitstaff knew how to mind their business, and the booths were wide enough to keep voices low. They walked in 5 minutes late, my father in a stiff-buttoned shirt like he'd been dragged from church, and Diane dressed like Fallon was the Hamptons. Casey, she said with that plastic smile. Well, don't you look healthy? I didn't stand, didn't offer a hug, just nodded and pointed at the seats across from me. Order what you want, I won't be long. My father looked tired. His eyes were yellowed, and his hands shook slightly as he reached for the menu. I saw the hesitation, maybe even guilt, but not enough to matter. We made it through water and breadsticks before I reached into my bag and slid a small black USB across the table. What's this? Diane asked, not touching it. Everything, I said. Trust documents, metadata, crash photos, the voice memo where you called me a mistake. She flinched just slightly. My father stayed still, eyes on the table. Casey, she said, low and fake sweet. I don't know what story you've invented. Stop. I leaned in. You think this is theater, but I'm not bluffing. That USB is already with the Attorney General's office. Cal Burnett submitted the forensic analysis under oath. The handwriting expert testified yesterday. This is a courtesy, not a warning. My father finally looked at me. His voice cracked. We did what we had to. No, you did what was easy, I snapped. You picked Diane over your own daughter and tried to erase me like a typo. I lived, and now you answer for it. Diane's face hardened. You really think you're going to take us down? You've got a lawyer and some dusty files. We have power, Casey. We built this state's security contracts. You'll be buried in court fees before the end of the month. I smiled, cold and calm. Funny thing about threats, they only work on people with something to lose. I had nothing. Now I have proof. She reached for her purse. Then we're done here. No, you are. I stood and pushed my chair in, slow and steady. The bill's yours. And the silence after? That's on you too. My father didn't say a word as I turned to leave. His hands were folded tight, knuckles white, jaw slack. Diane called after me. You'll regret this. I didn't look back, not even once. 3 weeks after that dinner, the Wadsworth Ranch Trust was frozen. No payouts, no transfers, no board votes, just a wall of red tape slamming down harder than they ever saw coming. The mining company bailed first, pulled out of the Claymont deal, and released a public statement about pending legal irregularities. Translation: they knew the stink would stick and wanted nothing to do with it. Then came Tyson. He got picked up in Elko, trying to board a puddle jumper flight to Arizona. They brought him in on the crash tampering, obstruction, and the reactivated charges from Mexico. Because guess what? Judy found out the record seal was never legally finalized. They dragged him back to Washoe County in cuffs. I visited him, not because I had to, because I wanted to see if he'd say it. Just one time. They had him behind glass, orange jumpsuit, wrists chained to the table. He looked thinner, meaner, the kind of man who finally realized he wasn't bulletproof. He sat down, leaned in, and stared at me like he was waiting for applause. "You're not here for closure," he said. "Nope," I replied. He smiled, not kindly. "It was always going to be you or me, Casey." I nodded once. "Then it's you." I stood up and walked out. Didn't even take a second look. My father didn't fight the trust freeze. By then, he couldn't. 2 days after the confrontation, he wandered out of his own house and had to be brought back by a neighbor. Doctors diagnosed early-stage dementia. Judy got him transferred to an assisted living facility in Sparks. He didn't even recognize me when I visited, just sat on a bench in the garden, staring at a dead sunflower. I said his name. He blinked once, then turned away. That was the last time I saw him. Diane didn't go quietly. She tried to sue me for defamation and emotional damages. It backfired hard. 3 of the ranch's former employees countersued her for unpaid wages and workplace intimidation. Board disqualified her from holding any leadership position in the trust again. Even her own lawyer dropped her once the voice memo leaked. When the letter came, I almost didn't open it. But there it was, sealed by the Nevada State Comptroller's Office. To Casey Wadsworth, your legal identity and inheritance rights have been fully restored as of August 12, 2025. Effective immediately, you are entitled to 50 acres of Wadsworth Ranch land and 5% of all mineral and agricultural earnings under the original trust. I held it in my hands for maybe 10 seconds. Then I folded it in half, placed it in Judy's safe, and walked away from it. The land was mine, and I didn't want it. Too many bones in that dirt. Instead, I transferred the title to a local land conservancy group, turned every acre into protected soil. No grazing, no drilling, just wild open space. I didn't even stick around for the press conference. Let Diane watch the property turn into a sanctuary from her glass condo and rot in silence. I wasn't interested in revenge anymore. Just silence, just space. The town was called Bandon. 1 road in, 1 road out, and just enough fog to keep the tourists moving. I rented a 1-bedroom above a bait shop and started volunteering at a wildlife center down by the dunes. Mostly seal rescues and bird rehab. Quiet work, hands-on, no questions asked. I used a new last name. Didn't bother with anything fancy. Just dropped Wadsworth and filed everything under James. Clean, simple, untraceable. No one here knew what I'd come from. Nobody asked. I showed up, I worked, I went home. That's all I needed. One rainy morning, I found a small brown package on the porch. No stamp, no return address, just my first name written in permanent marker. Inside were my old boots, worn leather, stitched ankles, soles I'd patched myself back in high school. They still had trail dust on them, and tucked in the left boot, wrapped in tissue paper, was the silver bracelet. The bracelet, not the fake one from the trailer, not the plant. This one had the missing fishing charm I got after catching my first rainbow trout. The tiny barrel charm was bent slightly, just like when it got slammed in a tack box. There was a note, just one line written in sharp black ink. You were never erased, just hidden too well, no signature. I sat with it in my hands for a long time, not crying, just still. That night, after work, I walked down to the shoreline. The tide was rolling in hard, waves chewing at the edges of the beach like they were trying to take the whole town back. I didn't say anything. Didn't need to. I walked barefoot in the cold sand, bracelet in one hand, boots swinging from the other. I didn't want applause. I didn't need headlines. For the first time in years, I wasn't proving anything to anybody. I was just there. And my name, whatever I chose to call it, felt like mine again. The ocean didn't care what they did to me. The tide just kept moving, reclaiming what was left, and I let it.